Welcome to Transport Vlog. My name is Paul and I'm currently at Chatswood Station. So this is going to be another Sydney Metro Chatswood dive site video. It's now March 2022 as I'm recording this. It'll be similar to previous times where I'll show you some footage from the train in both directions, then show you some footage from the Mowbray Road Bridge. What I'm also going to do is have a wander around the construction site and explain how that's going to change once Sydney Metro opens. And then I'm going to finish off by showing you the substation that's being built in Artarmon. To help you see the progress, I'm going to show you footage from January, February and March 2022. This is on the 1st of January and is going south towards Artarmon. All the footage is slowed down. On both sides there are supports for the future electrification masts. And here you can see what looks like metal supports. If you know what these do, please share this in the comments below. The retaining wall on the right is now completely filled in with concrete. And the drainage channel on the left looks finished as well. Here is how it looked back in November last year. The drainage channel continues to just beyond where the southbound tunnel starts. This footage is a few weeks later on the 6th of February. This concrete section here is now higher. You can now see the concrete base for the future track bed, along with what I think might be drainage channels. Also notice the black pipes sticking upwards. There's some in the middle, that'll probably be between the two running tracks, and some over on the right side. Now approaching the north tunnel exit, and you can see that the track bed within the tunnel is currently higher than outside of it. Now approaching the southbound tunnel entrance, you can see the support for a future electrification mast here, and some lights within the dive site tunnel portal. This footage is on the 10th of March. Viewers from previous videos have suggested that this structure here might be reinforcement for an underground walkway that would lead to an emergency or maintenance exit. Just here is what I believe is the concrete track base for the southbound track. It currently ends just here and you can see further work to create the rest of this track bed. It looks like work to create the northbound track bed will happen once the southbound track bed has been finished. The construction work for the south track bed gets hidden here by this retaining wall, so this is as much as you can see. The purpose of this dive site tunnel portal is to allow the northbound North Shore line to go over the tunnels. The tunnels themselves start about where this acoustic shed is. This footage is also on the 10th of March, but I've taken it from a slightly different angle. The emergency access structure is currently higher than the concrete slab on the north side and the southbound track bed on the other side, so it will be interesting to see what will happen here. I've slowed down this footage even more, so you can really see what is going on here. Now coming into view is the work to complete the remainder of this southbound track bed. You can see these horizontal metal bars, they look a bit like rails. And below that is a mesh structure. I believe these are both different types of rebar, which stands for reinforcing bar. These are used to make concrete stronger and less prone to cracking. Just here you get a closer view of the mesh style of rebar. This is purely my interpretation of what I think is happening here, so if you know more or have more construction experience, do share this in the comments below and I can include this in a future video. Not much more to see here now, so let's have a look in the other direction. So this is on a train going towards Chatswood on the 1st of January 2022. Now going over the southbound tunnel entrance. And you can't really see the track bed from this direction either. And this is how it looked before the concrete base was constructed. Around here you can see more of these metal things that are at the bottom of the retaining wall. Again, if you know their purpose, do share this in the comments below. And here is one of the existing Sydney Metro trains that will be running into these new tunnels in 2024. This is now on the 6th of February. Spotting the changes is a bit of an observation exercise, so if you notice something that I haven't noticed, do share this in the comments below. Here you can see the concrete base again for the future track bed, and these drainage channels are quite obvious as well. Again, I'm assuming that that is their purpose. You can now see some little supports on the east retaining wall. I'm not sure what their purpose is. This is on the 10th of March and this train is currently going over the South Tunnel entrance. You can see the newly created drainage system on the right, but otherwise it's a bit difficult to see anything else. Now you can see the rebar mesh again for the southbound track bed. This footage was on a weekday, so there's lots of construction work happening. And here are the horizontal bars again, which I think are part of the rebar, but I may be wrong with that, so again, if you know more, do share this in the comments below. Now you can see the concrete track bed, and also on the east retaining wall, those horizontal supports again. Just here, it looks like that work might have started to create the northbound track bed. So that's the end of the on-train footage. Let's now take a look from the Mowbray Road Bridge. Here are some views of the dive site from the Mowbray Road Bridge. These were taken a few days earlier on the 5th of March. You can see that the horizontal rebar supports are closer to the start of the dive site and the mesh style rebar is after it. So in 5 days the first section of the concrete track bed was completed and these horizontal supports were moved closer to the tunnel entrance. Here is a closer view. Notice the white piping just here. And here is a closer look at the mesh style rebar. This is now on the 10th of March, so the same day as the last bit of on-train footage. The horizontal rebar supports have moved closer to the tunnel entrance and you can see the track bed behind it. Here is a closer view. And you can see clearly the height differences between the track bed and the emergency exit supports. I tried to get some reasonable close-up video footage, but a combination of the wind and the bridge vibrating each time a vehicle crossed it made this quite difficult. However, it gives you a sense of the amount of work that's going on here, and in quite a confined space too. I didn't realise how much had changed in just 5 days until I started editing this footage on a big screen, so I decided to take another trip to Chatswood, and here is what I saw from the train. So this is on the 17th of March, and laying of the track bed for the northbound line is picking up speed. And if you know what these are for, please do share this in the comments below. The concrete track bed for the southbound line has now progressed further towards the tunnel, and the horizontal bars and mesh rebar now extend almost to the southbound tunnel entrance. So now in the other direction and just coming over the northbound tunnel, and you get a really good view of the horizontal supports and the rebar mesh. Just here, it is a little tricky to see the future northbound track bed. However, there seems to be something here that might separate the two tracks and perhaps help with drainage. And here is some mesh rebar for the construction of the northbound concrete track bed. With this amount of progress in just a few days and a weekend track work possession happening at the end of March, you're probably going to see another update video in April. It's now almost exactly 1 year since the old northbound North Shore line, which used to be here, was replaced with this new line that goes over the tunnel portal. This new line came into operation on the 22nd of March 2021 after a weekend track work possession. The track work possession to disconnect the old northbound line and link it with the new line happened on an extremely wet weekend when parts of Western Sydney were flooded. It was very similar conditions to the extremely wet weather experienced this March. I was on the Mowbray Road Bridge with my wet weather gear on, filming it on several occasions over this weekend, so do check out that video if you haven't seen it already. It will appear on the top right now, or there is a link in the description below. So to celebrate the 1 year anniversary of the opening of the new North Shore northbound line, here is some footage of a couple of Waratah trains. So behind me is the Chatswood Dive Site construction site. Everything on this side will be the property of Sydney Metro and is going to include things like a services building and tunnel ventilation systems. So only some of the existing construction site will be retained by Sydney Metro once construction is complete. The current Chatswood Dive Site is bounded by Mowbray Road, Pacific Highway and Nelson Street, and it includes the Mowbray House Heritage listed building. When all the work is finished, only this area will be retained. It's about 1/3 of the total site. This is on Mowbray Road, looking towards the rail corridor. This is the area that will become a permanent part of Sydney Metro. This acoustic shed will be removed and some of the permanent buildings will take its place. Now within this part that will be retained permanently by Sydney Metro, there will be a shared path for pedestrians and cyclists, and that will link Hampton Road, which is over here, with Nelson Street, which is on the other side, and I'll show you that in a moment. So from Hampton Road, the shared path will skirt around the edge of the site and link up with the existing shared path at the end of Nelson Street. So this land behind me, after Sydney Metro is finished, will no longer be owned by Sydney Metro. There's a few ideas as to what might happen here. Whatever development mustn't be more than 20 metres high. So it could be residential, could be commercial, could be a mixture of both. Within the area that will be released for development is Mowbray House. It is currently being lovingly looked after by Sydney Metro and has become their site office. Being heritage listed, it will be protected and will remain regardless of what other development takes place here. Mowbray House was built in 1906 and was an independent day and boarding school for boys for 50 years. It then became part of the Ausgrid site until Sydney Metro work started. There are some other older buildings currently within this development zone, such as this one. It's still here as Sydney Metro have been using it. I don't think these buildings are heritage listed though, so they will probably disappear. So I'm now on Nelson Street, and I reckon that the permanent Sydney Metro facility is going to start here where this gap is and then continue to the rail corridor. So this is the perimeter of the construction site on Nelson Street, which includes a large acoustic wall to reduce construction noise. This is important as there are residential properties on the other side of this road. So the permanent Sydney Metro facility will start where this gap is, and this is also where the shared path will come out to join Nelson Street. And this will link up nicely with the existing shared path that runs along the rail corridor to Chatswood. So this building behind me is the Artarmon substation, and this also means that the metro tracks are literally right below me. So here is where the lines go underground at the Chatswood Dive Site. And then after that they make a gentle turn to go under the Gore Hill Freeway. And this is where the Artarmon substation is. Here is a view of it from Whiting Street. Most of it is covered with these brown walls, but just here you can see a little bit of what is inside. This is the view from Reserve Road. There is a shaft from this building to the tunnels below that will be used for cabling and also for maintenance access. As you can see, it has quite a distinctive design to it, and it will be interesting to see if the 5 substations on the Sydenham to Bankstown section follow this same design. So that's the end of this video on the Chatswood Dive Site Sydney Metro work. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, do give it a like, give it a thumbs up. Do leave a comment or question below. Love to know what you think, and I'll do my best to answer any questions. Subscribe if you haven't already done so. Also check out my perks on Patreon. There's a link in the description below. So I'd like to thank you for taking the time to watch this video, and I look forward to seeing you in the next one. Bye for now.